All right. Well, over to you, Jeremiah.
Thank you, Reverend Hani, for these invitations, and thank you all for being here, giving the time to listen to our just experience at Isham, and we pray that God will enable all of us to learn something. Whatever you're going to hear, you may hear something that you're already doing. I just think that God is confirming that you're doing the right thing. You may hear something that is challenging you, and I pray that the Lord will strengthen you to try it maybe, or maybe something that you will hear you don't agree with. Please think about it and let the Lord just guide you in anywhere he can. Okay, so let me start here. I'm going to share with this. Share. I hope it works. It is. Can you see all of this? Hold on. Okay. All right. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Well, this is Isham Baptist Church models. Okay. Well, for a start, we need vision and passion for a vision. And I will always say vision is this clear picture of an image that God will give you. Where do you want your church to be, whether in a short term or a long term? But along that vision, you need a passion. Passion, I say, is like the gas that run the vehicles of vision. Without passion, even though you have a vision, I'm telling you, it's going to die soon. So when you pray, God give you a vision, stick into it, be passionate about it, because it's how you can really bring the church along. Also, you need the church to come with you for the visions you have. One of the most important things I said in the visions, it is God's word. We need to embrace God's word. Okay. We need to have in that vision missions. We need development of leaders. We need Sunday school. We need church buildings. If you have one or you're renting one, we'll talk about that soon. Social gospel, hospitality, financial sufficiency. You need to see growth in number. You need conflict resolutions. So all these things are important for the vision. So let's go through them one by one, and this is what we did. And we will watch at the end a small video, which you will see just in 5 minutes, a summary of what we have done through the years. When we talk about embracing God's words, we believe very strongly God's words and missions are connected to one another. As I'm sure you have preached about that many times. When we know God's words through the Holy Spirit, God will empower us to be witnesses in Jerusalem. So we need really to be obedience to the guidance of the Holy Spirit, that we be the disciple of Christ. And we need to go deeper into knowing Christ. I encourage each one of us, and I'm sure many of you, or the majority of you, are already doing it. I spend lots of time digging deep into God's words, because without God's words, we will be lost. Okay. How we did this is just, as Pastor Hani was saying, practical things that we did in order to embrace God's words and missions idea. So I'm just going to go just mention them, and you can have this presentation later, and you can adopt it to whatever the Lord leads you. Discipleship course. I made a course called True Disciples. We go back to the basic principles, like what is God's plan for us, what is justification means, what sanctification means, what prayer means, what membership means. Okay, and this book have been a tremendous help as we went through it through Isham Baptist Church in a few years, to study all these terminologies together, and really have helped us to grow in the Lord. I have a book. If you want a copy of it, please send me your address, and I promise I will send you a copy or two free of charge. That's a gift from Miss Hamba Picture. Okay. Second things, prayer meeting throughout the week, Monday to Friday, morning and evening. Whatever is available, prayer is a strong tool to really develop the idea of missions and impressing God's word. Also, systematic teaching from the Bible. It is very vital to have um, uh, really a visions of where you want to teach the church. This is a practical thing that is people are really waiting to hear from you. And also, I get a lot of topic from our prayer meetings. Prayer meetings, I call it the source of the needs of the congregations. Home groups, and Bible study in home groups. And I tell you, everything have a seasons. We started home groups for, before even I came, there were home groups. We continue and we stop. So I want to encourage you, be courageous because everything have a season. You don't have to go through the same thing when the season is over. Otherwise, you will be wasting your energy. Visiting ex-church members and others around the area is very strong tools to do. Using cultural event, like we have the Indians, they have this culture where pastor will visit them at their home when they have birthday, wedding anniversary, and other stuff. So very good tools. Whatever culture you have, you can use that culture in order to bring the gospel and a deeper understanding into God's words into the congregations. We also did have what we call worship Sunday nights. You don't have to have a worship team, actually. You can actually ask some other churches to come along and have like a small concert where you can bring people in. All these tools will help you. Small idea, put a table outside of your church on a Sunday morning, just an hour before that, have a small cup of tea, give a small leaflet outside. It makes a huge difference to the life of the church and how people will get involved and get engaged with the church. We do also what we call a short message, where I have in the morning from say 10:30 to 11 o'clock, and then the whole church goes outside. We go just for prayer around the church. Just pray for the street, pray for people around, knocking on doors, joining a zone churches, like we have E6 churches, and Encounter. We have now David with us here from E6 as well, and join different events like Advent, like Good Friday. It's very good tools to use. One of the most strongest things I use for missions and evangelism is funeral service. We have been taking really hundreds of funeral at East Hambapli. It's a great opportunity where you have multitude of people, hundreds of people in the church coming, and you can share the gospel. You tell them about what you're doing in the church, and we have seen a lot of people coming to the church, and we have seen people even being saved. Being involved in international missions, support in prayer, finance project, whatever God gives you to get involved according to your budget, according to whatever resources you have. We took what we call Jesus Live DVD. This was a big project. We wanted the whole area to get involved, but we ended up doing it ourselves. We managed to visit in about 4 or 5 years 8,000 doors, and we knock on the doors and we give this Jesus Live DVD in different languages. So all this is just ideas for you to think about, pray about it, and see what the Lord will lead you to do. Okay, and then we move into developing leaders, and this is the strategy we did in developing leaders, and it is, I tell you, it's effective, it works. We have a number of leaders come out of these strategies, and if you try it, you will not be, you will not regret it. I would say divide the church into different departments: Sunday school, worship department, but don't call them department, call them different ministries, because even we have a Lord's table, ladies who prepare the Lord's table, we call that the ministry, because that's their ministry. They bring the breads and the wine. So there is so many people have different gifts and different interests. Use them. Give each person who's willing to take part responsibility. Encourage people to take part in their ministry because this is their church. Empower people to be leaders, to believe the churches belong to everybody. Well, we give every leaders. I mean, I think this may some people may agree, some people might disagree. We have over 45 people in the church have keys for the church. Every leader who's responsible for anything, we give them a copy of the church keys. So supporting leaders is vital for the stability of the church. If you are the head minister, you have to support your leaders because leaders will come as you will be under lots of challenges. Okay. Also, we did a small leadership courses. It doesn't have to be intense, maybe an hour or two every now and again, just to teach them how they respond, how they develop as leaders. Also, we did what we call using the youth for leadership. Get your young people involved. The young people have so much gifts. Don't be afraid that they will make mistakes and they will say the wrong things, but this is where you develop them and they will feel part of the church. And believe me, from that strategy, we have a lots of people now who are really mature in the Lord and strong leadership from our youth. And actually that will keep them not leaving the church, but continue in the church. Some they will always leave, as you might experience. Carry on a bit of this. Is just okay. Sorry. Back. Sorry, I pressed something by mistake. Also, the minister have to be an example, and I think this is very helpful. Whatever project we do, even if we have a project of cleaning the church, I'll be the first person to be there. And my wife, bless her heart, she joined me, my children joined me. And that makes a huge difference in the life of the church. One of the sorry. One of the things that we did also try, if it's possible, put a policy that fixed leadership 3 to 4 years. That will be very helpful to the church where everybody got an opportunity. One of the biggest frustrating things that people will see all the 3 or 4 people are leaders in the church and nobody have any opportunity to take anything. But if they have a term, they can step down and other can have another chance to develop their leadership. Leaders must be understood correctly. It is a privilege to be a leader, not a right. And that's needed lots of work from you as a leader, as a pastor of the church, to change that perspective. Because some people, they think by giving a lot, they're entitled to be leaders. And it is my right to be a leader. Make sure when you involve in developing leaders that you involve in every race in your church. Very important, because if one race is not represented there, you will have a serious challenge. Let's move on. Building Sunday school. Okay. Bringing children in the church will result in adults coming to the church. One of the strong way of bringing children into the church, we invested as a church into a good program for the kids. Don't be shy to invest good money for the Sunday school. Even when we started, we were 4 or 5, but through the years, those children start to bring their mom and dad, their uncles, their neighbors, and there where the church will grow. Training also several teachers to lead different classes is important. Don't depend on one person, but ask them as they lead that they will have a successor, and then this person will follow them, and then you will end up having a number of school teachers, Sunday school teachers. Also, very important tools we use: create an event for children to perform in the church. Parents love to see this. We have what we call it Sunday morning service led by our Sunday school once a year, and they look forward for that. They work together, all the children with the teachers, and they come and even preach for us, and all the parents, and they bring their families and so on. It's a great tool that we have in our midst to use. Now we move to our buildings. Whether you have a building or you don't have a building. If you have a buildings, I know this is a bit of a controversial issue. I believe, we believe in Islam, the building is a visible sign of the gospel. And I tell you why. Where we live in this area, we have people from all sorts of backgrounds, where that building for them is a sign of the gospel. And we have to let every member of the church believe that buildings belong to them. Okay. And if they believe, and this is a vision, if they believe that this building is belong to them, this will be a great tool. I wasn't scared of Isham Baptist Church when I come. The building was all running down, but we start to fix the building. The first thing we start, we call members to come and say, well, let's paint together. Let's start with one room and move to the second room. Let's fix one door and move to the second door. This, created a huge sense of unity together and a purpose, and created that, wow, we can fix our buildings and we can really use this building for God's glory. So even a broken buildings can be a source of encouragement and growth and mission to the church. You have to also charge reasonable rate when you're renting your buildings out. Not too expensive, but not cheap. And I tell you why. When you rent your building cheap, experience told me that people take it for granted and they don't look after it, and then you will end up, bringing your buildings down. So be wise in that area and don't be shy, because you're not taking the money for the sake of the money, but we want, the ministry to continue. Be clear in your hiring of the buildings. There is lots of contractors are available, and with the Baptist Union, there's a lots of guidelines there. You can adopt it to your own, and if anybody want our hiring policy, I'm happy to send it to them. Okay, let's move on. Hospitality. Some people will call it social gospel. I call it hospitality. I believe start with the leaders.
Because
open your home to receive church members for tea, lunch, or coffee. Those who are willing to come. We have the first, I think, 4 years, we open our home and we have received every single members and person attended to the church. Something very small. Some people just come for tea, some people come for coffee, some people come for a chat, some people come for lunch. And if you can do that, it's a great relation building with the church. And also the church, it's a season things. You must open your church when you have the time and the resources for homeless, giving lunch, having club for people to come. It is always a great contribution to the community. Get involved whenever you can with any social gospel in your community. All these things, I say, it is not written in stones. Don't take one project and run with it forever, but everything has seasons, and see where all this lies in your vision. Financial stability. Make a budget. Is very important to make a budget, and budgets are very simple. I used to be an auditor for operation mobilizations as well. And I always tell people, budget doesn't have to be complicated. Income versus your expenses. Your expenses have to match your income. Very simple. If everybody uses simple tools, okay, you can make a good budget for the church. Involve church members about everything concerning finance. Transparency is being open is the most powerful tools that you will get everybody involved. And believe me, it works where people they will be responsible and they will even give more. Use the building if you have one to generate income from the church. As I said before, rent, for a nursery, other community event. Well, I can tell you we are generating a year in our church from renting about £85,000. That been generated from just a building. Encourage the church member to give and to sign a gift aid form. And that's, I think, one of the greatest advantage we have from the British government, but we're missing a great deal about it. Growth in number. Growth in number is always a challenge. Some believe in quality of members rather than numbers. Some other believe in numbers as a sign of growth. Okay. Nevertheless, we have made a target. We say, Lord, we want 5 people to get baptized every year. Just a small target. And I said, when you have a vision, the vision is clear. It is something you can achieve and something that people can see. And we thank God for a number of years before COVID, we have seen people coming to get baptized every year. Well, understanding the nature of London, many people come into the church and many moves on as well. And I'm sure you're all very familiar with that. But that's something we have to put in our consideration when we seek God for the visions and where our church needs to be. Lastly, I want to just talk about conflict resolution. And this is one of the very hard area. In every church, we have a stronghold. Strongholds that they are the biggest problems we have in our churches. And I think that the biggest tool we have, let us use our constitutions in order to deal with strongholds. Deal in love, truth, and every conflict have to be dealt with immediately if it's possible. When we delay it doesn't disappear. It will not go away. Have a policy, do not be favored to anybody, but treat everybody equally. When we deal with conflict resolutions immediately, majority of the time things will go well, but sometimes things will not go well. But that's part of life. We don't have a perfect, but we have seen the best thing is, is a biblical principle. When you have anything with your brother, go and talk to them. Okay. I'm going to just show you quickly where we are, sorry. Quickly the video that I want you to see, and then I will hand it back to Reverend Hani.
Worship the Lamb who was slain. Yes. We give you all the power and the glory and the majesty. You are the one who will build your church. I will build my church. And the gates of hell shall not prevail. Again, I will sing. I will build my church. And the gates of hell shall not prevail. Again, I will sing. Powers in the heavens above, bow down. Powers on the earth below, bow down. Jesus, 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 I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. So your powers in the heavens above, bow down. Powers on the earth below, bow down and you know. Jesus, bow down. Powers on the earth, bow down. Jesus, we give you all the power and the glory and the majesty. You are the one who will build your church. I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Again, I will sing. I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Again, I will sing. Powers in the heavens above, bow down. Powers on the earth below, bow down. Jesus, 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 I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Again, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Again, so your powers in the heavens above, bow down. Powers on the earth below, bow down and you know. Jesus, bow down. Powers on the earth, bow down. Jesus,
Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for sharing your story and the things that you implemented in growing the church. And such a little time, of course, is very difficult to do justice to what actually happened over the years. My understanding is when you came into to the church, it was building is failing, and also the people are small and unable, and the church was very close into closure in some ways, but it's now developed. You built a house in the backyard of the church. You developed the people. You invested in leadership, and you raised leaders. I have been there. I saw what you did is quite amazing, and can be overwhelming sometimes when you look into the massive transformation. Your church is heading into become a green church, fully sustained electricity, and you are developing the church all the time, has massive opportunity in terms of people and resources. You also raised pastors. That's amazing, but can be overwhelming. So what might be one or two keys that people can start with? If you imagine you are in a smaller church, or what is the key number one or two that you want people to concentrate on?
I think the first thing, people have to believe that God will use them to change the church. As a leader, you must believe that. You must be passionate about it. Whatever circumstances you are in, whatever situation in, God will use you to change the church. You're not there by chance. You're there for a purpose. You will change the church. You will impact the society. You will impact the community around you. And you should start from there, within yourself. And then that passion have to be, passed on to the church. And then you start from wherever, whether you start with a small prayer meetings or changing the window, whatever the Lord put you. But you got to believe, whatever vision God has given you, I can assure you, He will use you to fulfill whatever He has given you.
Thank you. Well, now I did ask Jeremiah my question so that can give you a chance to, prepare yours. Would you please now, if you have a question, just indicate to me so I can just make sure that we don't talk over each other. So over to you. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I was quite interested in Hanny's last comment, Pastor Jeremiah, about this green sustainability. I was quite interested to hear a little bit more about what that means and what you've done there.
Yes, I looked about 13, 14 years ago about going green. It was very, very expensive, like it will cost 40, 50,000. So we waited a bit, and then about, I think, 7 years ago, we have installed 43 panels, solar panels in the church in Ottawa. And now we are doing the second phase where we're going to install another 56, where we'll be totally self-sufficient in our energy. So we have the money, and we are just in a process, soon to finish the project, the second phase of the project, and we will be sufficient for that.
So effectively, about 100 solar panels completely gives you all your electricity.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and I think most of our churches will have the place. What we did the first 43, because those 44, it's 1/3 of the roof. You don't need planning permission. That's what we did it. And the second phase, we have to get planning permission in order to get another 56 in. And 100 will be absolutely sufficient. And then we will also change all the systems to be, everything will be electric, because we will have the, even with the 43, we still get paid every 3 months from the government about £1,000 in addition to what we're saving from the grid. So it is really value for money when you have a big roof, big space in the church. It's a different story when you have a small house.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good. Who's next? If you are raising your hand and I can't see you, just unmute yourself. Well, until someone can come with a question, I just follow on what Alex asked. Where do you get the money from? Like when you start, how did you finance all that? How big is the church when you start, Jeremiah? And how did you finance all of this?
As we said, we started in a small project first. The first things we did, we fixed our hall downstairs, and then we rented the hall. And then through that whole rental, we invested into fixing other stuff in the church. And then we borrowed from the property board to build the house at the back. And within 4 years, we managed to cover the whole rental. And then we had, every 3-4 years, we save some money, and then we do a bigger project, which we did Jesus Center. And in the last 5 years, since 2015 to 2020, 21, 6 years, and we also borrow some other money from the property board, and we finish. So the church have no debts. We have 0 debts at the minute. So step by step, phase 1, do a project, generate some income, encourage church members as well to give. We of course, we run a lot of different projects in order to raise funds, and we managed to do that. And, one phase build the second, and the second build the third, and go on.
Thank you.
And you might add, I think the secret when people, as I say, go back to believe in the vision, when the church start to, the whole congregation, they believe this is their buildings. I am here, I'm passing by. Tomorrow I would go. But their church and their children and their grandchildren and so on, this is the building they're going to. So they start to believe in it. They start to, to give, to be more involved. The vision took place that the value of what this building will give us in the ministry is huge. And we had somebody say there was a prophecy that the Lord is going to open every room in the church, and He did. We have fixed every single room space in the church, and we're using it. We're using it, Jesus Center, for example, we have been using it for overnight prayers, for conference, for so many things have been happening there, Sunday schools and so on. So it is not just a building, but the building is a tool where God will use for His glory and for the ministry.
Thank you. Who else would like to?
Yes, could I just like to say I find this very inspiring and encouraging. I think what I find particularly encouraging is what I sense is the pathway to growth, starting with ourselves and the love of the word and the passion that comes from that. But I think the theme that's been coming across to me is that you start with what's in front of you. You start small, and then you reinvest that once that's completed, and then so you're always on a trajectory of growth and vision, but it's matched to your current capacity. That's what I'm hearing. So that removes the overwhelm. So because it could be overwhelming, as Hani said, to kind of look at this huge end result, but I think you're saying start where you are and grow it from there. Would that be fair?
Absolutely correct. I mean, it's overwhelming because we have seen it now. It's like the Israelites when they were out of Egypt and crossed the Red Sea, but
Mm,
before that they couldn't see it. Okay, and it's the same. You start where you are, believe
mm,
in small things, and be passionate about it,
mm,
and you find it. You building, and you find an overwhelming grace of
mm,
God and abundant. Absolutely correct. Absolutely
mm.
correct. Uh,
Yeah.
and the second thing which I would like to put in that, always do not rest.
Mm,
This is the thing. If you start to relax and rest, okay, this is where people will go down. One of the things that I had a challenge where when we had COVID, where we had to close the churches. Well, we maintained to open the church for as much as we can, okay. But that even has thrown us away from our path for a long time. Now we are starting to pick up again the pace.
mm,
But we always, in our vision before COVID, we were always at the edge, being in prayer and seeking God, what is the next step and
mm,
the next phase? Because that's where motivate people to go.
mm.
And still, we keep the belief that God is going to do it, not us, but God is going to do it.
Yeah. Could I ask one more question? How important do you think the prayer meetings are, and how are they structured throughout the week?
I think the prayer meetings are very powerful and very important. And one of the things that I inherit from East Ham before I came, they were people of prayer. They were small in numbers, but they were people who prayed and prayed and prayed. And I thank God for their prayers. But for me, I spent, if you look at Jesus Center, where you see in the video upstairs, okay, that was a balcony. It was closed for 60 years. Nobody was up, because it's dangerous. I spent hours and hours. Nobody knew that. I always go up there and said, Lord, what do you want us to do with this? Sometimes I said, Lord, what can we do here? This is your buildings. We need to use this for your glory. And I pray and I pray and I pray and I pray and I pray. And prayer, it's vital, tools that, weapon that we have, no doubt about it. And as I say, most of the vision comes through prayer meetings. Most of the answer comes through prayers. And God give me, I mean, in that Jesus Center, when we brought the architect says, no way we can do this. And then I had a visions of, I have drawn the buildings. And then when he said, well, yeah, I think it can. And that's through the hours I spent upstairs there, just, seeking God, because, I'm not an architect, although, I love buildings, but, prayer is vital, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Phil Warburton, you wanted to ask something.
Yeah, I was just interested in your emphasis. Thank you, by the way, Jeremiah. Thank you very much. Your emphasis on building leaders, developing leaders. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you've structured that in the life of the church?
Yes, my background as operation mobilizations is we train people in the job like apprenticeship, and that's kind of the style I use in the church, apprenticeship styles. For instance, we have last July we have ordained 4 ministers, okay, and each one of them have a journey. But when we come along, I said, well, guys, you come. God have given you this gift to preach, and you want to be in the ministry. Then come and preach. And therefore, we talk, and it's apprenticeship style of leadership. Same with the youth. Same with the worship leaders. Same with musicians. Okay, believe me, we have a problem in our church now. We have more musicians than singers. More people play music because we also went into training people how to play music. We brought somebody, we invested, and so on. So apprenticeship style is what we have approached leadership.
Excellent. Anyone else? Well, by the time you think of another question, I have one of the things that you said was very good and wise is that everything has a season. And sometimes churches do keep things because they are inherited that way. And also they think that maybe it will revive at some point. Now the challenge is, how do you know? How do you discern when a season of something is ended? Sometimes it's not necessarily that it's not working or it's not attracting people, or how do you discern that from your own journey?
Brilliant questions, absolutely fantastic question, because we have faced this issue of Sunday service, Sunday evening service. Okay, our Sunday evening service was going well, and the people we were close, we decided, well, maybe the Lord is telling us this is the season. But it was a difficult decision to make. We had to bring the church in order to make that decision. So we had the struggles, and I know when we closed our Sunday service, evening service, we had about 15 to 20 people coming, but yet we closed it because what happened is that the 15, 20 people are coming in the morning, they're coming in the evening. And not many new people were coming in the evening. Well, the purpose was to bring new people who don't come in the morning to come in the evening. And we don't want to burn everybody out. One of the issues we have in the church, we don't face, we are very good Christians. We don't want to face the issue because we'd like to be nice. And that can burn people out, and it will impact a lot of other ministry. So we need to, to discern, the season is finishing by seeing, how people are. And also there is consensus where leaders are gathering together because they are working together. You can see when we talk about this, everybody says, yes, Pastor, we want to close. Yes, Pastor. So there was a consensus, and we find out that this season have ended up.
Thank you. Anyone else before we bring this time to close? Okay. Well, what is good is that you can actually visit East Ham Baptist Church and see the things for yourself, and also ask more questions that relate it into your context. The recording will be in the website, of course, as I said, and we will make all effort if you have any questions that I pass them on to Jeremiah. Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for making the time. Thank you, everyone, for making the time. I hope it has been a blessing for you, and may the Lord continue to bless you, and see you on the 30th of June next year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Blessings.
God bless.